Hi, and thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Energy, where we discuss all things energy on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. I'm Sheena Decker with Maui Electric, and today's host. Hurricane season starts this month, and we wanted to share how our company is preparing for potential storms this season, and how you can prepare yourself and your families. Also, with the ongoing earthquakes and continued volcanic activity taking place on Hawaii Island right now, many have been concerned about the possibility of a tsunami. What kinds of impacts could we see, and how is our company preparing for it? Here to tell us more is our security specialist, John DeLima. John, thanks for joining us today. Hi. So we know that there are growing concerns on the earthquakes and the changing landscape on the Big Island right now, and that it could possibly create a potential tsunami hazard. So we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and what is the likelihood of this happening here for Maui County?
Well, the impacts, if there was a catastrophic failure of land moving into the ocean, would be pretty substantial. We could expect an imminent wave within 15 to 20 minutes, and that could be just totally catastrophic for the island itself, and especially to recover business. It wouldn't give anybody enough time to do anything other than run.
And so that's why we're really here today, to kind of help people be prepared for a different type of disaster like that. So what kind of things should people keep in mind?
Well, you should always keep in mind that wherever you get information from should be a credible resource. You should go to someone who has like a government agency, a disaster recovery agency, someone who could give you credible real-time information. We want to discourage the use or following viral videos, because viral videos tend to create panic, and we need to reduce the panic and count more on education so that people make the right choices in the event of an emergency that requires split-second action. We really need to focus on the task at hand.
Right, so what kind of websites do you usually turn to for up-to-date and real information?
You can go to ready.gov, the Maui County, City and County website. You can go to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. You can go to NOAA.org, and these are the most up-to-date, incredible real-time websites to go to.
And then our tsunami evacuation zone maps have recently updated. So where can people find those?
So the tsunami inundation zone maps are located in all of the phone books that are distributed throughout the state, and they show you your region or your area's tsunami inundation zone, and they actually now cover an extra zone in case the tsunami is a little bit bigger. They have an extra zone where you need to stay away from, and you need to plan accordingly to get to higher ground, at least inland or to higher ground. So if you open up a phone book, you can find it, and if you go to the City and County website, they're all detailed and they're in color.
And people should do this today, right? Just not, in the event when they hear something.
You should do it today. You should actually do it, print it out, put it on your icebox, let your kids know what's going on, and create a plan at home for what could happen. If you're at school, we'd advise that you listen to the school. They have an evacuation emergency plan. Trust in their planning. They do drills. They're proficient in that. If you are at home and your family's at home, you want to get them and secure them to higher ground, or ask them to follow the plan that you've committed to. And that means either moving inland or, again, going into some elevation. If you're caught at work, follow your work emergency procedures right away.
Right, so at Maui Electric, we prepare a lot with you, and you prepare our teams. Some of our buildings are also in low-lying areas, so we do have preparation plans. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so for Maui Electric, our disaster plan is that, dependent on the advisory, watch, or warning, we take the appropriate steps to either stage equipment further out in the field, further up in the area as of elevation, because our base yard and our power plants lie in inundation zones. They have their own procedures for when they decide to go offline and protect equipment, but for us, we have to play it as the advisory comes out and the watch comes out, and then we can recover our business at a recovery center that we do have in a higher elevation.
So let's talk a little bit about the advisories, because that's a little bit different when there's a different type of hurricane advisory, right?
Right. So when an advisory typically is a notification that an event occurred, and it'll be up to date, the most up to date information you can get on location, the size of the event, and who it's going to impact. When it comes to a hurricane, let's separate them. A tsunami, dependent on the amount of time we have, it'll transpire into a watch or warning or go directly to a warning. So we learned when we had the Japan tsunami that we had about 8 hours ahead time, so we were able to plan accordingly and get people safe. Well, if we have a collapse or an imminent disaster that occurs due to a volcanic or seismic event, we will have limited amount of time. So we've made adjustments to our planning But it will definitely be a sizable impact no matter what to Maui County if it's an imminent disaster. When it comes to hurricanes, we have a lot of lead time for that. We have advisories, then we go into watches as it gets closer within 48 hours, 24 hours, and then we get into the 8-hour time period, then we start our countdown. When it gets into the warning, which is landfall is expected, we should already be bunkered down and relocated, and everybody should be in a place where they can wait out the storm.
So it's really all just about being prepared ahead of a natural disaster, and so we should start things like that today.
Oh, definitely. 100% preparation is the most important key to surviving any of these things. Especially, lessons learned, we're gonna be waiting maybe longer than 5 days for normal businesses to recover, normal sanitation to develop again, electricity to start developing again, plumbing and piped water to be so we need to be able to sustain ourselves for a period of time. It starts now. We don't want to be scrambling at the moment we get a watch,
right,
and all of a sudden everybody's in a gas station line or at Costco. Right? That's what we've seen in the past. We learn from our lessons, learn from our mistakes, and do better every time.
Thank you so much, John. So stick around with us. We're going to talk a little bit more about preparation in today's show, and stay tuned for Let's Talk Energy. Welcome back to Let's Talk Energy, where we discuss all things energy on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. We're talking about how to be prepared during this storm season. Here to give us a general overview, we were talking about it earlier, for the 2018 hurricane season. We have John DeLima, Security Specialist at Maui Electric. So John, I know we talked a little bit earlier about advisories, but it's confusing sometimes when you hear warning, watch. What's that all about? Can you share more and clarify that?
Well, the agencies take these steps in order to prep themselves and understand the data that they're receiving. So an advisory usually is something that they need to crunch, they need to understand what's going on, and they need to deliver accurate information to people in the field. And that includes everyone else that out there who needs this information. When it comes to the watches, it's imperative that we don't take it for granted, that it might come, it might not come, it may happen, it may not happen. We need to listen to everything that's going on. And this is slowly, again, lessons learned, best practices. We need to understand that we live on an island, we are surrounded on all borders by water and wind. So we need to take this stuff seriously to live on to the next day. And a lot of people don't want to pay attention. Well, that's their choice. Let's make the educated choice, and let's err on the side of caution. When it comes to a warning, disaster is imminent. Okay. And we cannot take that for granted. If there's a warning, we need to move. We need to do something about it. We need to save our families. We need to save what we can. And we try to, as best as possible, save our businesses. But how I measure emergency responses, I look at it life first, everything after. So you matter, your family matters, and everything else comes second.
Right.
So that's how you would look at any emergency procedure, any emergency notification. What am I going to do to keep myself alive and my family alive?
Right, so watch, just keep watching, pay attention to the news,
definitely.
And get your resources ready.
Yeah, and there might be impacts already ahead of time where you can't get information because now the phone lines are all clogged up. Cell phones are not working good because everybody's calling everybody. Please remember that you can use text messaging.
Right.
Text messaging is an avenue that people forget about oftentimes because they're getting a little nervous, they're getting scared. Everybody wants to call and hear that person's voice on the line. But trust me, it's just as good seeing that text to make you feel as good too.
Right, and then the warning is, it's imminent, it's
warning
coming.
Is imminent, everybody needs to bunker down, take the precautions to stay safe at that moment and wait for an all clear. We cannot judge it by looking outside. We might be in the eye of the hurricane where everything is peaceful and calm, and then you have the back half of the hurricane coming in. Just like with tsunami, there's not just one wave, there's several waves. So we have to wait on the warning, it's coming, it's happening, and we wait for an all clear after the warning.
So every year we do get an annual forecast, and so tell us a little bit about this year's forecast.
So this year's forecast is anticipated to be 3 to 6 hurricanes in the Pacific area affecting Hawaii or the region of Hawaii's area. And they're not so sure if El Nino is going to pop up. It's a weather system that actually affects the amount of and the size of the hurricanes that do approach. So we're taking a look to see if that's going to happen. If not, we should be really good. You know, in the last few years, we've had a number that's exceeded the forecast.
Right.
And so just being prepared through our hurricane season for the regular person who doesn't have to plan, who doesn't have to worry about these disaster recovery for major commercial businesses, you know, it's easier. But for us, we get very nervous. We wanna make sure that we're strong and we're ready to do what has to be done. And you can rest assured that Maui Electric has a great incident management team that has been in practice quite a lot. And so we know our job, we know what to do, and we're ready to do it as best as we can.
And that's true. You know, we do take preparation very seriously. So what are some tips that you can offer to homeowners or even businesses, the things they should do maybe today?
Okay, so for homeowners, really stress the fact that you got to have an escape plan. You might not be able to shelter in place, so you might have to have your go kit, your ready kit to get out of there. A plan of where you're gonna go, where your family's gonna meet up, how you're gonna meet up with your family. And it sounds technical, it sounds complicated, but in actuality, you can get a lot of these checklists from the areas that I've sourced, and they'll give you great tips on how to put these things together. A real simple plan to get your family into an area safe. We want to make sure that everyone understands that sometimes they don't allow animals in shelters, so we need to make other arrangements for animals. And if you look at what's happening now in Puna, they had to leave their animals, and they were not allowed to get back in until the community said it was all clear and they can go back in for a few hours to rescue their animals. But at the moment, they had to leave them behind. So really an eye-opener for other types of disasters and issues. But with businesses, you got to take a look at your business and see how hard it is. If your business is not hardened, meaning you can't turn off things and they need to rely on electricity, you need to maybe look ahead and start planning for what type of recovery process you're going to have. Be it generators, be it how you're going to keep items cold or preserve equipment if they get wet. And so, like, for example, I know that for some of our procedure, just to touch on, is to turn things off.
Right.
Because water and electricity don't mix. So we want to preserve that. We can dry it out, and we can hopefully restart it and pick up business.
Yeah, talking to your family is so important. Your coworkers, what would we do if this happened to us, where we would meet, what would we do, how would we contact each other? Texting is a good option you mentioned, yeah.
Yes.
And again, the information where people can get, up-to-date information during a storm response, again, some are those websites for those?
Well, some is the Maui County Civil Defense website. You get all the inundation maps, all the checklists. You got ready.gov, which is a federal website, which will cover all of these disasters and everything else. Say you're behind the lines in the mainland, and there's a tornado coming or there's some flooding occurring, and you can see how disastrous those are. These websites will give you hints of how to prepare yourself and keep you safe there. And also in Hawaii, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center and the National Oceanographic Administration page, the NOAA page, they will have up-to-date information that's just rolling and updating as they update, as they get numbers crunched, they change things. And then sign up for advisories. Go to the city and county website, put your website, your email address in there, your phone number, and sign up for advisories so that you're getting real-time information, not only from the government, but from Maui Electric and from all the other utilities that are signed up on this to give people information in the event that these are occurring. So you know when things are occurring, when there's all clears, when you're allowed to go back into zones. So it's really important that we stay communicated, stay connected as much as possible.
Thank you so much, John, for telling us about preparation today. And we're going to talk a little bit more about ways people can prepare during this storm season. John mentioned also keeping in touch with Maui Electric. When storms can cause outages, you can sign up direct for emails or text messages to your phone for restoration and outage restoration updates. So it's mauielectric.com, or you can find us at Twitter at Maui Electric. Our next guest is Terry Naganuma, Safety Coordinator at Maui Electric. She'll be going over what kinds of things to keep in your emergency go kit and some other safety tips. But before that, we'd like to introduce you to one of our operator helpers on Molokai, Dustin Dudua. Here's getting to know Miko.
Hello, my name is Dustin Duro. I'm the operator helper here at Maui Electric on Molokai. I've been working for the company for 7 years now. My job consists of keeping the lights on, basically, maintenance on diesel engines, groundskeeping, and also operating the power plant and providing generation so the power can go out to our customers. I was born and raised on Molokai. Right out of high school, I went to college on Oahu. Heard about an opening here at Maui Electric, and here I am today, 7 years later. And I'm proud of where I'm at now and the sacrifices that I had to make. It's all worth it. I have an awesome family, 2 beautiful girls, 1 girlfriend that supports me, and I love waking up, having a job here and coming to work. I enjoy fishing, the outdoors, spending time with family. My favorite part of this job is coming to work every day and knowing that the work I do provides power to our whole island. Sometimes we work in 12 hours for a few days straight. Can be longer in some situations. When it's storming and everybody taking cover, sometimes we gotta leave our family and come to work. But it's satisfaction knowing that the work we're doing is to better our whole island and community. My name is Dustin Durua, and thank you for getting to know me.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Energy, where we discuss all things energy on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. We're talking about how to be prepared during this storm season. In studio, we have Terry Naganuma, Safety Coordinator at Maui Electric. Terry, thanks so much for joining us.
Hello.
So we talked a little bit about how to be prepared, having a family plan in a case of emergency, but it's also really important to have necessities for each of our family members. So what are some of those important things that people should be having in their emergency kits?
Okay, so first of all, you should have all your necessities that you use every day, like your toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, toilet paper, daily necessities. You can have radios, batteries. Make sure you have like a first aid kit, in case anybody is injured. You always have your first aid kit.
Medicines are really important.
Medicines are really important, especially if they are prescription medicines. You want to make sure that you have all of that. You want to make sure you have some money. You want to make sure that you have important documents, and put it in waterproof containers just in case.
And then it's also important to just have like clothes on hand, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes family members, you have kids in the family, the kids outgrow the clothes and then you forget to check the clothes one year and the clothes are super small.
Yeah, so make sure that you do have some clothes for your kids, and then make sure you have like at least a week supply, because you never know how long you're gonna, need to access just this bag in case it's, very much disaster.
And then some food stuff. I know they changed the guidelines, having like 14 days
Yeah.
worth of food and water.
And your water is at least 1 gallon per day per person.
Wow, okay, so 1 gallon per day per person. Yeah.
And if you have any animals, make sure you have food and water for them too. You don't want to leave them behind either. You want to take them with you.
And I know we talked about just making sure too, shelters that can have animals are really important too.
Yes.
So, there's these booklets that Maui Electric offers. It's called the Handbook for Emergency Preparedness, and that actually helps us. It has different shelter sites as well as different tips that Terry's sharing today. And then also just kind of some non-traditional stuff that we talked to some kids about is just having comfort items, like their favorite blanket maybe that you would pack as well.
Yeah. And some games and stuff to keep them occupied, and because there won't be any TV. Maybe there won't be any TV. So, make sure you keep them occupied and playing games.
Terry, thanks so much for sharing this important information with us and the different things that people should have on hand. It's great information to be prepared. And again, thanks to everyone for tuning into Let's Talk Energy, where we learn how to be safe and prepared this hurricane season. Again, you can learn more about preparedness tips by visiting our website at mauielectric.com/prepare. We have a new handbook for emergency preparedness booklet coming up that has all kinds of safety and preparation tips available in 5 different languages. And as always, we want to hear from you. So if you have any energy-related question or future topic ideas, drop us a line at letstalkenergy@mauielectric.com. This episode will repeat every Tuesday right here at 8 p.m. on Akaku Channel 55 with a new episode on the first Tuesday of every month. Thanks again, and we look forward to talking energy with you next time.